Okay, so last time you saw this car, I was like, oh, you know, it's pretty much done for now. I'm not gonna touch it anymore for a while. It's as tuned up as I can get it. Yeah, no, I'm doomed to work on this car for all of eternity. And when I left off, I was like, oh, you know, there's some weird oil on the windscreen. And I got 10 billion comments day after day, hour after hour. Oh, it's a heater core, heater core, heater core, heater core, heater core. Okay, I understand heater core can cause that, but I wasn't convinced at first, because I was like, well, I don't smell it. But then I looked down here, and I'm like, oh, there's some green goo coming out of the vent. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to argue it at that point, but I still don't smell it. So I guess my nose doesn't work. During the day, it's perfectly fine. Like, I can't see anything on the windshield at all, but like at night and when it's raining, it's dangerous to drive this car. Every single piece of glass is just fogged up and you can't see shit out of it.
Holy shit.
This uses the same kind of plastic board design that Chrysler does. I guess this was just a 80s economy car thing. Fantastic. I barely touched this bezel for the clock and it snapped in half, so I guess I'll glue that back together. It also looks like it's 3D printable, so I might do that too. We'll see. I gotta remove this piece too. It's gonna break as well. Oh. Yes. One AE86 dashboard. Okay. Huh. Cool. This car is so low now I can't fit a drain pan under it.
Drain pan.
That is the fattest heater core I've ever seen. And it's all copper too, like some Statue of Liberty shit. And my plan was to solder it back together to fix the leak, but down here, the fins have just turned into powder. Like, they're gone. So, I don't know if it's beyond saving or what, but I'm gonna try. Okay, so all the corrosion was around the edges, so I removed all the fins from the edges. And there's a lot of holes in the side now, like there's a big hole there because it was so thin, so I'm trying to fill all that with solder. And you might be thinking, no, just buy a new one. They don't make new ones. And you might remember this, that was in the car when I got it. This is for a Chevy S10. I don't know why it was in there. I've never done this before, by the way, just wanted to point that out. Kind of reminds me of TIG welding, but I filled in all the rot and corrosion with solder, so hopefully it doesn't leak now. Okay, I got a bucket of water. I'm gonna dunk it in there and pump air into it so I can see where the leaks are. Okay, so there's a hole on the side of it still down there somewhere. This is actually pretty bad. So this, I don't know what to call it, pipe is leaking from the back side where I can't put solder on it. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Well, I tried. I could try removing that fin, but I'd end up just mangling it, and you just gotta know when to stop sometimes. So I'm gonna go on eBay and pay $200 for a used one. Okay, we're gonna be waiting on that for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and start looking at this dash. As you can see, it has Grand Canyon sized cracks in it. So I'm gonna see if I can fill those in and paint it. This whole thing is just so brittle. Like, not only the padding on the inside, but also the outer coating is just gone. All these cracks had raised edges on them, so I had to break it more in order to fix it. I'm using some of this flexible body filler I used on the Harley a while back, so hopefully that works. I don't know. It's frigid out here. Okay, so I was working on the dash, but it's been a while since I actually worked on this car at all because I've moved. I'm not even living here anymore, but the car's still here because it's disassembled and I can't drive it. So I got a new heater core from eBay. It was cheaper just to get the entire box, so there's that. So I'm gonna put that in so I can make it drivable to get back to the other place so I can get back to working on the dash. Oh yeah, this one's in significantly better shape than ours was. It's got a little bit of Statue of Liberty green on the corners, but I'll probably just put some paint on it and throw it in. That is a thick-ass evaporator core for such a small car. The blower motor should have an easier time now, not having to go through that because it's just a straight shot. And I'll keep this around in the unlikely event I ever want to put AC in this thing, so. Okay, so I temporarily reattached the old cut hoses so I can start this thing up and get it out of here. And my original plan was to just take this back after taking the trailer back, but now I'm thinking I'll just put this on the trailer so I can take them both in one go. You know, without the interior put together, this thing's looking like one of those marketplace listings. 15 grand, don't waste my time. An annoying thing about putting cars on trailers is the stupid slack in the ties. You gotta tie this up because otherwise it gets caught up in wheels and flails around everywhere. And there's a special tie where you like, you roll it up and stick your hand through and slide it up on the thing and it stays, and you know, that works. The issue is it takes forever. I know there's a logging trucker out there that can do it in 2 seconds, but for me, I just use a zip tie because it takes 2 seconds and it'll never come untied. Obviously, it costs a few cents every time you put your car in the trailer, but you can get reusable ones, I think, probably. FM is sponsored by Big Guy of Duty 12. Experience the latest in first-person shooter gaming with Big Guy of Duty 12. Basically the same game as last year, but you'll buy it anyway. Okay, car moved. Anyway, intermission over. I need to fix this dash. Sanding the filler on this is difficult because the dash material is so fragile. I keep sanding through the dash material trying to sand the primer. I was just wiping it down and I heard a popping noise and it just cracked all the way down here. Whatever, I'm painting over it. In fact, many more small hairline cracks have appeared. So basically, yeah, screw it. Toyota are good at a lot of things, but making dashes is not one of them. Okay, so while I was priming it, I heard another pop and another crack came into existence along with a bunch of other ones. So basically it's temperature difference. So like the paint is a different temperature than the dash. So when I spray it, it cracks. And I don't really know what to do about that, if anything can be done about it. So I'm just gonna paint it. I'm gonna be honest, this doesn't look too great. I'm not sure what it looks like on camera, but in real life it's kind of ass. But I mean, when the material you're working with is so fragile it cracks from being painted, you're kind of doomed from the start. So the dash pad may or may not be going back on this, we'll see. Now I make fun of Chrysler a lot saying, oh, the 86 is from the same era, but it's better in every way. However, Chrysler was better at making dashes. This dash is 4 years older and it's immaculate. So they win at something. Okay, so I removed the heater core again because when I was researching these things, I found a lot of images of these things broken off from failed solder joints. So I'm gonna resolder them to prevent that, I hope. All right, hopefully those won't break off now. I went ahead and did some light weight reduction by removing the tar and sound deadening, and honestly I've removed this stuff in the past and I really don't notice much of a difference in noise. And obviously some people are more sensitive to that than others, but I'm the only one that's going to be driving this car, so it only matters if it bothers me, and it doesn't, so I removed it. If you want something dead silent, buy a Cadillac, Gramps. So I put that sound deadening in a trash bag, and that's not an insignificant amount of weight. That's like 14, 15 pounds just from the firewall too. There's more on the floor I can get later. And obviously that's not gonna make a big difference by itself, but over the years of working on the car, like, oh, you know, 10 pounds here, 20 pounds there, 15 pounds there, all of a sudden you'll end up with a car that's quite a bit lighter. And, you know, I'm kind of weird when it comes to weight reduction because, like, you know, I'll remove sound deadening and I'll remove air conditioning and stuff like that, but I won't gut an interior because I like full interiors. But I don't know, I'll just remove weight when I feel like it's worth it. Like, I could remove a lot of weight by ditching this, you know, heater core and blower fan and stuff, but I value this stuff. I like my heater and my defroster, but I don't value the air conditioning because, you know, it weighs a lot more and it also doesn't get very hot where I live, so it's like, whatever. Figured I'd go ahead and clean out some of the 40-year-old Ronald Reagan era dust and dirt from the ducting. Okay, so the interior is back together apart from the clock bezel I broke. I still haven't got another one, but the heater core should be fixed now. The dash is, you know, better. It's not as nice as I hoped it would be. You can get a remanufactured one for like $1,500, but I guess if I ever want a really nice one, I'll just have to pay that at some point. Not right now though. So I had to cut this heater core line to get it off, and it's too short now, and I found some places that sell them, but they're all like on back order and they take forever to get here and they're expensive on top of that. So I walked into the back of the auto parts store and grabbed a random hose that looked similar. This is from a something, I don't know, probably a Kia or something lame, but It's about the right shape, so I'm gonna put that on. I was just trying to tighten this hose clamp and I dropped my 1/4-inch ratchet and it evaporated. It's gone. All right, that's good now. I think it just heard my wrench fall. I did, yes. Why does it do that? It's carbureted, it doesn't need a reason. Okay, well, nothing seems broken that already wasn't broken before, so that's good. Yeah, the blower motor definitely works better without that evaporator core installed. I don't see any green goo coming out of the vent, so it's probably fixed, and the heater's working, so it's not clogged, so. All right, I don't see any crud on the windshield yet. So the next issue is the fuel gauge. Last time I put a new sending unit in the tank and I put fuel in it and it read full, and I'm like, cool. Except I've driven it a lot and it still reads full. So either the car gets 300 miles per gallon or the gauge doesn't work. Yeah. Well, it's plugged in.
Wide.
Well, I unplugged it and the gauge is going down, so it's probably not the gauge. So the sending unit seems to work. It varies from 105 to 3. So either there's something wrong with the wiring or this sending unit is the wrong one and it's just sending the wrong values, which I kind of doubt. And yeah, that tank is almost empty, so. And now that it's plugged back in, the gauge is going back up. The tank is not full! Stop! Okay, so I've been reading some wiring diagrams and it looks like the temperature gauge and the fuel gauge both share a ground. And the temperature gauge is also kind of messed up. It reads too high just like the fuel gauge does. So the fact that the two sensors that are messed up both share a ground makes me want to check that ground. Of course, that also means I gotta take this apart again. Great. Working on this car has just been an endless loop of taking apart the interior over and 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 Okay, so it actually looks like the ground wires are good. Damn it. Okay, I took the sending unit out to test it, and now all of a sudden, the gauge is working perfectly. I set it to empty, it reads empty. I move it toward full, and it reads full. I don't know why. Maybe I like moved a wire and that made a connection good again. I don't know. But now that it's back in the tank, it's going back toward full again. It's just gonna go all the way to full. The tank is not full. Okay, I found the problem and it's kind of weird. So when the sending unit is out of the tank or floating or whatever, not bolted in, it works properly. Gauge reads empty, gauge reads full. But when I put a bolt through it, which grounds it to the fuel tank, the gauge goes full blast. So there's a wire short inside the sending unit that shorts out when I ground it to the tank. Yeah, okay, so our brand new sending unit is broken. Good. This is why I'm so reluctant to replace stuff. Like, if you can fix the old OEM parts, you're way better off because new parts suck. They all suck. So the next thing I'm gonna look at is the wiper blades. I got these on Rock Auto because they were like, yeah, they fit. They don't. This one's held on with a zip tie and it scratched the windshield, so that's really nice. I got some that are AE86 specific, so they should fit. Okay, so it turns out the Rock Auto wipers actually do fit, but I was missing the little brackets to attach them with, so got those now. All right, so the next issue is another electrical one. The high beams don't work. The indicator on the dash works, so that means the switch is probably good, but the lights don't work. I kind of doubt both bulbs are blown, but it's possible. All right, I just tested it and there's no power getting to the plug, so it's not the bulbs. Okay, I found the problem. So I was looking at diagrams and I'm like, okay, let's see. Red and yellow is the high beam wire. Ah, it's not attached to anything. Cool. All right. Well, here's the combination switch. I'm gonna solder back on the high beam wire and also resolder all the rest of them while I'm at it. All right, that should be good now. So, high beams should work now. Yes, finally. Okay, that's one more thing off the list. Whenever a light stops working on one of my cars, you'd usually think, oh, just replace the bulb and it'll fix it. But that's never the problem for me. It's always some wiring shit. Every time I see a bulb not working, I think, oh, that's gonna be a 2-hour ordeal. Another annoying problem is the hood. It doesn't shut very good. This car is like death by 1,000 cuts. There's so much little shit wrong. Like, none of it really stops it from working. Like, I can slam the hood enough times and it'll eventually shut. And I don't have to have high beams and I don't have to have a defrost, but it's really annoying to not have that stuff. Okay, that's better. So the next issue is the driver's side door handle doesn't work too good. I gotta pull it pretty hard and I'm afraid I'm gonna break it, so I gotta adjust that. I just lubricated it and it works a lot better. Okay, I got a replacement sending unit to replace the replacement sending unit. Okay, so if it's working properly, it should read about half a tank. Please. Okay, it's going down. That's a good sign. Yes, finally. So we've got an exhaust leak right here. When I made the exhaust, I didn't have a gasket for it, so I just used RTV, and that didn't hold. And Rock Auto and eBay and Google and everywhere says it uses this. I don't remember seeing this in there, but I don't know, that's what it says. So it better use this. I'm gonna take this off now. Can't get it from the top. Shit. Lowering your car is nice and all, but it's also inconvenient. I can't drive it up on the ramps anymore without scraping the bumper. Okay, it actually does use this gasket. Good. All right, that's fixed. Okay, so the age-old problem of wheel rubbing on this thing. I tried removing the fender liner, I tried rolling the fender, I hammered this in, but every time I fix where it's rubbing, it just finds a new spot. It's rubbing right here now, so I gotta fix that. And these wheels aren't even wide. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna put something wider on this thing and have them not rub, but anyway, with this being a JDM Icon, you don't wanna just go beating on it with a hammer. So when I took these fender liners out, I was looking at the moisture trapped in here and I'm like, oh, fender liners are bad, but I was mostly joking when I said that because, you know, they keep rocks and mud and water off the metal and stops it from rusting, but they're also annoying because wheels rub on them constantly. But considering this car is mostly rust-free, I will make the effort to trim these and put them back. Of course, I don't have any screws to attach it with anymore, so I gotta get some of those. Yeah. So I've been talking about the lanolin-based undercoatings that are my new favorite thing, and I always thought that oh, you know, it's like a thick oil, it's like petroleum-based, but no, apparently it's from sheep's wool. They like spin sheep's wool really fast and extract the grease, and then we put it under our cars to stop rust. So, you know, that's a fact. So in other words, if you're a vegan, you can't use this. Sorry, sucks to suck. Okay, I trimmed down the fender liners and put them back, so hopefully they don't rub. That screw sticking out might rub, maybe, we'll see. I'll paint it black so I can tell. Okay, so I need to look at the brakes again. So, you know, they work, but they're inconsistent. Like sometimes I'll press the brake and it'll feel fine, and other times it'll go to the floor, and I'm not really sure why. It just depends how it's feeling at that moment. So I'm gonna replace the master cylinder. And I got this box in the mail and I'm like, holy shit, this is heavy. But it's the master cylinder. What happens a lot is the stock master cylinder is aluminum, but aftermarkets make them out of cast iron because it's cheaper. And a byproduct of that is their boat anchors. It's a hunk of iron, but you know, it's fine. It's not a big deal, I guess. I also got it some more goodies. I got it a adjustable proportioning valve and a residual pressure valve. And what this does is basically, since drum brakes suck, you know, the wheel cylinder's spring loaded and there's lots of slack in them, and they're always trying to push fluid back up into the master cylinder. And what this does is keeps a little bit of pressure in the line to keep the slack out of them, to keep the pedal responsive. Now, usually this is built into the master cylinder, but I'm pretty sure Toyota used the same master cylinder for cars with drum brakes and disc brakes. And since disc brakes don't use residual valves, I'm thinking either they didn't use one or they put it in the stock proportioning valve. Either way, I'm just gonna install this one. Whenever I do brakes, I always try to get new lines and fittings, because otherwise you always see people like, oh, look how rusty this fitting is. Oh, I gotta get the torch out and the penetrating oil and see if I can get that out. But when you're replacing them, you just go, don't care, cut it off. Yeah, that master cylinder was definitely bad. That's, Is that a gasket? So I got this T-fitting to connect the front brake lines with, but there's not enough threads on it to work with these fittings, so... Yeah, I found some fittings that'll work with this T, but that does mean I gotta replace these down here, which kind of sucks. It would have been nice to have found another metric T at the auto parts store, but for whatever reason, the auto parts store mostly just carries standard thread stuff and not metric stuff. Why? It's not 1960 anymore. Everything is metric. American cars are metric. Why do they only sell standard stuff? It's stupid. The last time I flared brake lines, I was complaining about this style brake flaring tool and how they all suck ass. So I'm gonna try this style and see if it's any better. Okay, it came with this dye lubricant. Not safe for consumption. It's disappointing. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, I found the first flaw with this style brake flaring tool, so it needs more extra line. Like if I put this through here, it doesn't have enough extra to actually flare it, whereas the other style could flare this, so that's a downside. Okay, so now I'm having a problem with it slipping out. Like I'm tightening the clamping screws as tight as they'll go, but the line slides out and it doesn't flare. That's annoying. Well, no wonder, it's just smooth in there. There's nothing for it to grip on with. Bad design. I filed it down some, maybe that'll work better, I don't know. Well, it worked that time. Okay, well I haven't bled it yet, so I don't know if it works, but it looks cool, and that's the main concern anyway. So the reason I bother with adjustable proportioning valves is manufacturers move the brake bias too far to the front on purpose, so that when the average Joe slams on his brakes, it doesn't lock his rear wheels up and spin out. And also with these old 80s cars, they usually come with these little like cookie cutter wheels, like 6 inches wide. And what everybody likes to do is put wider wheels on them, and when you do that, The stock brake bias is even more out of whack. And also when you're autocrossing or tracking or whatever, you can adjust the brake bias and change the way the car behaves going into corners, so that's nice. And there's people out there like, oh, my rear drums, they don't work good enough. I need to convert to rear discs. When in reality, you can just get a proportioning valve and fix it that way, and it's a lot cheaper. Of course, the last time I installed a proportioning valve, it exploded during an autocross because it was poorly made. I got it on Summit, and it was like, oh, Summit Racing brake proportioning valve. And later on, I found the same exact one on eBay for half the price. Yeah, and you know, who at Summit was like, hey, you know this random generic Chinese brake proportioning valve? Slap the company logo on that bad boy, yeah. All right, pedal feels good. It's not leaking, so I can see how well it works. Oh, they feel better already. Oh yeah, it would. All right, I'm gonna mess with the proportioning valve. All right, I turned the rear brakes all the way up, so when I slam on the brakes, the rears should lock up. Yep. Well, the rear brakes work, we know that. I think I might leave it right there. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, this feels a lot better. I think the residual pressure valve helped a lot. And now that I have the adjustable proportioning valve, I can change tires and still have the brakes work right. I want to run some Hoosiers on it at Autocross this summer, so that'll be fun. Also, some people were like, oh, your air filter is too small. It's sucking in the cap when you rev it. So I got it a bigger one. The new one's mostly the same, just taller. There we go. All right, that's on. Also, this old filter has holes in it. It's only a few months old. How? Okay. This wad of wires for the MSD box is bugging me. There we go, that's a lot cleaner. This shit too, I don't want any of this. Yeah, this side looks a lot better now too. Okay, so brakes are fixed, heater core is fixed, interior dash stuff is sort of fixed, annoying stuff is fixed, so I'm thinking at this point I am actually done with it for a while, I hope. I have other cars I need to work on, so if this one could just kind of function for at least a little while, that would be great. But anyway, subscribe.